All right, BB Nation, it is Wednesday and it's time for the 6 p.m. video. Now I'm going to cut straight to the point. Don't like to waste your time. We're talking about a company that reports earnings tomorrow after the bell for a very heavily retail traded space, being EVs, or electric vehicles. Now the company I'm talking about is NIO. Back in 2021, when NIO was heavily traded by retail investors, the price action went up to $65. Now it's below $10. So we're going to jump into the VectorVest 7 system. I'm going to tell you exactly why I'm bearish on NIO going into earnings, and I'm not too excited about buying it in general right now. Now, if this is something that you're interested in, stick around and let's get started. Now, just a couple articles before we get to the VectorVest 7 software. You can see here we're going to discuss the Q1 deliveries. Now, things to note here, they lowered their guidance to just 30,000 units for that first quarter here. They delivered 53 units more than those expectations, so right on par with their lower guidance. Now, the big things here, we see a 3.2% decrease year over year. Now, March deliveries were phenomenal. However, there's a problem with that, and the problem I see here is actually they were caused by the Chinese New Year holiday subsidizing in February. Now, the 14% increase in deliveries year over year when it comes to March was caused by this, and it's just not sustainable as those subsidies are now over. Now, here's another article just talking about the Q1 deliveries. You can see what I have highlighted. Intense competition and macro pressures weighed on EV demand, not just for NIO, but the space in general. Now, that last article, it mentioned intense competition. Now, the big player here is going to be Boyd. Now, they're the reason why Tesla has been trying to lower its cost so that way it can be more competitive when it comes to Boyd. But it's not just a Tesla problem. Boyd is based in China along with NIO, and they have immense competition with each other. I mean, Boyd's a much larger company. When looking at the market share here, you can see NIO is about 2.1% of the Chinese market, ranking it number 9 when it comes to China's EV. Now, when it comes to Boyd here, as I scroll down, you can see they're sitting at 17%. I mean, they're the big player in the space when it comes to Chinese EV makers. And as I continue to scroll down, you can see an article here. Did NIO lose $35,000 per car? The company offered $350 augmented reality glasses for each of the seats in their car, introduced a cell phone that interacts with the car's self-driving system, and none of it is profitable. You see, NIO lost $835 million in the second quarter of 2023. This article came out last fall here in October 2023, so you can see a lot of problems when it comes to NIO in general. All right, this is your first time watching one of these videos. This is the VectorVest 7 software, so we're not going to talk about news anymore. We're going to talk about mathematical formulas, forecasted data, things that are non-biased that'll put you on the right side of not only stocks but the market itself. Now, you can see NIO represented by the candlesticks here, currently trading at $5.24. The green line is what we value the company. Now, our valuation is at $1.64, so greatly overvalued. When it comes to the VectorVest metrics, down below I do have several indicators that I look at when it comes to stocks going into earnings. The first is going to be our forecasted EPS, or earnings per share. This is just a 12-month leading forecast. You can see all in negative territory and actually been on the decline here for the last several months, so that's not a good sign starting out. The next indicator below is the GRT, the growth rate in earnings. Again, forecasted data for a company that's tech related and considered a growth stock here. The growth rate in earnings is very weak, just at 5%. I mean, it's positive, but it's not that phenomenal, especially when it comes to the current stock price here at $5.24. I just don't see that justification here. Now, down below we have the RS, or relative safety. This just looks at the consistency and the predictability of earnings. Other factors such as debt to equity ratio, things of that nature, just gives you a sense of how risky the company is. It's on a 0 to 2 scale. Below 1 is unfavorable, and I'll be honest with you, this has been in the 0.6s, even in the 0.5s here for quite some time, so not a great rating at all when it comes to the stock safety. Now, down below we got the sales growth rate. Again, that's the driver for companies to make money. You got to increase sales here, and if we take a look, the sales growth rate also sits at 5%. So again, I'm not excited about this stock. I'd like to see forecasted data, especially for the price action here compared to what we value it at. Just not too enthused. And if we take a look at the company itself, just by looking at price action, you can see it's lower than it was 12 months ago. Steep decline or retracement since its high back in August 2023. As far as a technical standpoint, the only thing I really like about the company right now, it did break above its trend line, but we're just not seeing much enthusiasm when it comes to that break above. Pretty tight trading range over the last several weeks. Now that we looked at NIOs, I've got the cars ETF on the chart right behind me here. Now this is the EV and future mobility. If I scroll over, let me show you this. This is the top holdings here. You got Boyd, again, that's the top EV play in China right now. Albemarle Corp, that's a lithium play. You know, Samsung, we've got big names like Tesla, even Li Auto in here. So this just gives us a good sense of what the space or industry is kind of doing as a whole here. And you can see it's clearly in a channel right now. The top of this channel is at the resistance level of 23.28, while the bottom of that channel sits at $20.47. And looking at the technicals here, the moving averages, I have a 3, 8-day, and 20-day exponential moving average just to give us a sense of trend. You can see here clearly in a bearish manner, sitting closer to the bottom side of this channel. If you're not already in this space, you know, being EVs in general, I'd probably wait for a breakout, whether to the upside or to the downside, to open up any new positions. Well, VV Nation, you heard what I had to say when it comes to NIO and the space in general, just by showing the articles, the ETF cars. You can see why I'm more bearish on this position going into earnings. Now, I do want to hear your opinion, VV Nation. So if you think we're going to see a pop in NIO from the earnings call, put in the bull. If you think we're going to see a drop, put in a bear in the comment section, so that way we can get a sense of direction. Now, it's always a pleasure giving you these 6 p.m. videos. If you found the video informative, make sure you subscribe to the channels. That way, keep you updated going forward. Like the content, share it amongst your social circles, so that way they can also be on the right side of the market. Have a good night.